The triangle of panic, or about the swat-away spurt of 100,000 troops of the occupiers. Just a few videos ago I explained in detail what is happening in the area of Lyman-Kupiansk axis, or as they call it, swat-away direction, and how it is necessary to take into account the voiced information, to perceive the messages coming from this bridgehead. But all the following days I saw quite a lot of hysterical posts on this topic. And even in the Ukrainian segment of the internet, the area of Nadia Sargivka Novoyhorivka villages was first surrendered to the enemy, having read their victorious posts, but after all the same they put this area in the grey zone. And about this triangle it is necessary to tell in detail. For the viewers of the channel, the intensification of Russian troops in this area is not a surprise. Since the beginning of the year I tried to explain that the enemy's offensive actions along the Lyman-Kupiansk axis are fraught with problems for them, and nothing has changed in the following months. Nevertheless, it was worth the occupants to move, and some panic among the couch troops began. The Russians are now in the aforementioned triangle, using the forces that are not quite appropriate in the first line in the offensive. The offensive of the Russian troops began not with reconnaissance combat, but immediately from the offensive, using the main strike groups, the backbone of which were tank units, in particular the 12th and 13th Tank Regiment and the 4th Tank Division. This use of this resource immediately raised a number of questions, but there was only one answer. The Russian command used its main forces at once to break through the defenses of the Ukrainian defense forces, which had been formed for months, and to show the top leadership the result of the rapid advance. At the same time, this breakthrough was conditioned by the fact that the Russians do not have the resource for progressive and uniform assaults of the Ukrainian defense lines. However, the occupants pushing through the Ukrainian defense ended with the fact that the 752nd Regiment's motorized riflemen began to be transferred to help the tank regiments. That is, to break through the Ukrainian defenses the occupants lacked the main strike potential, and the remaining accompanying ones were used. In general, this is fully consistent with my previous analysis of the situation at the bridgehead. The Russian troops have the best potential here in terms of equipment and combat capability in the entire combat zone, but still insufficient for a large-scale offensive, and we can see this right now. Over the past weeks, the Russians, having activated all their potential, have not been able to advance along the entire front line, but have only intensified their attacks in narrow directions, separate locations, with very mediocre results, while using their main forces. So actually, what can I comment here that is new? For me, quite obvious and expected events are taking place. This is war. When such a mass of forces and means moves, it moves by inertia, but is it able to keep the pace at the expense of inertia? No, it starts to roll back. This does not mean that the Russians have no movement, it means that they have launched an offensive not for the sake of the results of the offensive, and the territories that they manage to capture, they will not be able to hold because of the wasted resource. There's nothing more to say.